everybody. Hey, Shanika.
Hey, y'all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alethea Russell. I'm a class of 2011 Gaston City High School graduate. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us for another episode of Titan Talks. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Shanika Thomas. Shanika, would you introduce yourself really quickly?
Hi, guys. I'm Shanika. I also graduated from Gaston City in 2011. And you want me to tell them where I went to school and get them the house spiel?
Yeah, tell us.
Okay.
Tell us.
From Gaston City, I went on to attend the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, and also Alabama A&M for graduate school. And I am currently enrolled at Athens State University, so degree in the works there. But yeah, I reside close to the Tennessee line, a little bit outside of Huntsville, so I'm still kind of sort of local. So yeah, that's me.
I didn't know you lived so close to the Tennessee state line. Yes.
Yes, girl, I'm 2 minutes, like literally 2 minutes.
Yes, we love to see it. Okay, so I'm sure you already know a little bit about how this goes because you are also a task force member, if we didn't mention that. So this is a good opportunity for us to interview one of our own. But to get us started and get warmed up, we're going to do a rapid fire icebreaker. So basically what that's going to look like, I'm going to give you some categories. I want you to just think fast and give us the first response that comes to your mind to answer the question. Okay?
Ooh, I'm nervous, but go ahead.
You ready? All right.
Okay.
So favorite class?
I'm going to go with band, fourth period, fourth block. As far as like extracurricular, but as far as classes, like academic classes, it's supposed to be a think fast. So let's just go with band. We're going to stick there.
Okay. Who was your favorite teacher?
Girl, I don't even barely remember anybody's names.
Same. I thought about that when I did the talk for Katina, and when I was afterwards thinking about it, I was like, I don't know what I would have said. Now I got to think about it. But yeah,
I liked Miss Thunderberg, but I will say, like, the person who probably had the most impact and might not realize it because I don't think I performed that well in her class is Miss Wilson. The whole peel the onion, get rid of the fluff.
Yes. Okay.
That has always stuck with me, and I tell people that now, like, peel, like, baby, peel the onion. Like, what is this? This is fluff. So I think she had a lasting impact on me.
Good. And I just want to throw an aside for people who may not know who that is. She was our AP English teacher when we were at Gaston City. Okay, next one, favorite lunch. This one separates the real from the fake for me, but no pressure. Favorite lunch.
I don't know. It might have been, girl. I'm stuck between like second and fourth. It just depends on who I was having lunch with. I never really got to have lunch with like my friends.
I never got to have lunch with like my friends' friends either. Like my blocks never lined up. But what was your favorite meal at lunch that Gaston City served?
Oh, you talking about like lunch? Oh, girl, I thought you meant like the block. When they had the highway.
They did used to have like hot wings.
I used to be excited when I would walk in there and see the hot ones. I skipped right all over the Crispitos. I like the Crispitos too.
This is a Crispitos stan account. Okay. This one I feel like I'm gonna know the answer to. Where was your favorite place to be on a Friday night?
Of course, at the football games.
This one is a little too easy for all of our band and athlete friends. They're all gonna have the same answer. Okay.
Was there faithfully every Friday.
What was your favorite Gaston City moment?
My favorite Gaston City moment would be walking across the stage and getting out of there.
I hear that.
But as far as moments, girl, that's
It's hard to remember now.
it is
it's,
like when I tell
it's
people like
been 11 years.
my mind go, honey, charge it to
I've been
my age
hoping
and not on my
secretly that I
heart.
would get some inspiration from other people's interviews, like to jog my memory about certain things. So
Right. I don't remember a whole lot. Like, 'cause I think I was pretty much in a go to class and do what I have to do mode. And I don't really want to tell anybody about the negative sides of me, like skipping class a time or two. But I guess we can. We're just
we
being
can,
honest. We all were
we can.
teenagers at some
It's
point.
nothing wrong with keeping it
Um,
100.
so, probably like skipping a class, but I was still on like the campus. Like they were
Yeah.
hosting the track meet. So going over there, like seeing everybody going over there. Even
Right.
though I knew I was supposed to be in class, but you know.
Yes.
I
You
did end
actually
up having
alluded.
to do ISS for that too. But go ahead.
Yes, you actually alluded to this a little bit just now. So I guess our next question then is just paint a picture of a typical day for you at Gaston City High.
um I'm gonna paint a day in during senior year.
Okay.
Because we really weren't there that much on the second half of the year. I feel like we missed a lot. But pretty much like a typical day would be, you arrive at school, you go to your lockers, do all that, fraternize with your friends. Hey, how y'all doing? Go sit in class, learn something maybe. Have a few debates or whatnot, and it's usually you and CJ who jog my memory on what actually happened in the classroom, because I don't know, like I was present in body, but in mind I must have been on the other side of
No,
town.
no, I 110% understand because senior year was like that for me too. Like it was a blur, like a blur. Like it happened, and then we were walking across the stage, and then I was like,
It was fast. It was quick. Like all of high school, like it seemed slow going through it, but once we finished, it was like we
yes,
realized how like quick it went. Like
right,
so pretty
right.
much a typical day was going to school, going to classes. A lot of my most memorable moments would have been like going to band. So I remember like actually going to band. I remember when I changed my schedule to get out of band, the concert side of band, so that I could take classes like cosmetology and I think I did something else. I might have taken pottery, and knowing I don't know anything about pottery, but you know what? We gonna move on.
We had to explore. I did that. I remember doing that with Lord. I don't even know how I got away. I don't even think I got away with it. Actually, I think somebody ended up telling the counselor, and they got me swapped back. But I swapped out of AP English one semester just because I was tired. Do you I swapped out, and then I remember I can't even remember who the teacher was. I think it might have been Miss Kimbrell. I was like in an just a regular advanced class, and she was like, "What are
Okay,
you
you don't
doing in
belong.
here?"
Right, you don't
And I was
belong.
like, "I just wanted a slower pace this semester." She was like, "Absolutely not. Like, please
Out you
go,
go.
out you go." So it didn't last very long. But I
Yeah.
tried. So I
Yeah.
empathize with you dropping
Letting
something
you
so
know
you can
that
go
I
to
probably was
pottery.
asleep. I was asleep when you did that because I literally have had all English classes with you at Gaston City.
Yes.
Like, I must have been
So
asleep when this happened. Like, where Lisa? Oh, she must not be at school today. Now, not knowing you were somewhere trying to take other class. Why
I'm
would
over
you
here
leave
trying
me
to
like
get
that?
out.
Why would you have left me for those days?
So yes, good times, good times. The next question I wanted to ask you about, you actually have alluded to this already too. Look at you. You were like on it already. So you talked a little bit about how Sheena Wilson had a really good impact on you, and like how she talked to us all the time about peeling the onion was her metaphor she used, and like getting rid of fluff. And I particularly remember one time when she chewed us out really, really bad. It was our senior year. Do you remember what
Yes,
I'm talking about? I
girl.
think she was like, I think we were just in a funk and we were acting up, and she got us together so good. And she just had this real heart to heart, but she was upset with us moment where she talked to us about like, um, when y'all leave here, like the training wheels come off, like your friends might be different. Your parents aren't forcing you to be friends with people from kindergarten anymore, all this type of stuff. And she gave us like this really good, just I think attitude adjustment. I would have never admitted that to her 11 years ago, but I can admit it now. But with that being said, how did Gaston City prepare you for where you are now?
I think as far like because I was on the AP track, I got a dose of what my college courses would be like. So I didn't just go into college completely lost. So it like Gaston City helped me to prepare to be able to navigate. And I guess in a little ways teach me a little bit of self-sufficiency because I would advocate for myself even at the high school level. Um, as far as classes and well, I can't necessarily say I advocated for the class. I mean, because the schedule was pretty much laid out, but I pretty much like I did what I had to do, whether it was the bare minimum or going above and beyond. Like I knew that I learned that my actions they either would get me what I it's a wasp flying by me, but anyway, they either would get me what I where I wanted to be, or I would hold myself back. So I kind of learned that through high school, and a little bit. I guess people don't know this, but I mean, I think I like to be able to tell this, even though it's the negative side of me. It was me allowing a not so great judgment, but you know, being selected to be a Titan ambassador. What was that, like 10th grade, 11th grade?
It was
Was
10th
it 10th
grade.
grade going into 11th grade? And anyway, allowing somebody to let me act out of character. And then, you know, nobody ever told me that I couldn't be. I just made that decision. Like, I just didn't feel like I should be representing Gadsden City at the time. But I learned, like, I feel like Gadsden City, or I mean, I remember sitting and talking with Black Will about it. Like, he's like, "Do you feel like that was the best decision or whatever?" But I
Right.
feel like at that moment, like I learned, like my actions have consequences, and
Right.
so I got that lesson at Gaston City. I mean, be it was a negative lesson, but I mean, we learned
Right.
like in life, our actions they have consequences, and so
Right.
I was prepared for life. Like now, you do not see me make sudden movements. I don't make rash judgments. Like I sit in silence now until I'm ready to take action on something. But I mean, I kind of learned that early on, and I mean, it was a not so great thing. I look back, I kind of do have regrets about it. I'm not gonna say I kind of do. I do, and I try not to have regrets, but I learned, and Gaston City taught me that lesson.
Right. And I think I'm gonna. So this is a Shanika Thomas stand account for anybody listening right now. So I think you were really humble in this description, because, like, when you talk about like you learned how to advocate for yourself while you're at Gaston City, like I think a good quality about you. And again, Shanika and I were classmates. I think we've been in the same classes together for the most part since like sixth grade.
Yes.
And so and so in that process, like of you learning how to advocate for yourself, like you also taught me things about advocating for myself. And I remember like even the story you just told about Titan ambassadors. We were Titan ambassadors together. And I think I was like literally last year. Last year was the time that I learned that you voluntarily stepped down from that position. And I was like, why would you do that? And so like even then it's just a testament to your character. And I'm glad that you were able to spend that. But I just think people should know, like, when you have these impactful experiences, whether they're negative or positive while you're in high school, the outreach that you can have from just that alone is significant, because a lot of the stuff that you experience, like, helped me and vice versa, I hope. I know I slept a lot in class, but like it was wild to me that someone would have that level of integrity to say, like, I did something wrong, and even if you won't, act on it and give me the disciplinary, measures that I think are appropriate. I think just having that self integrity to say, maybe this isn't the best time for me to represent the school was really big of you, especially at our age, right? Like we were like, what, 15?
Yes.
I don't think I could drive yet. That's how, like we were young. I don't see teenagers with that type of compass very often. So I just wanted to humble brag on you there, but so yeah,
You still turned out to be somebody. So
I know, right? That's the key here, right? Like, we ain't proud of going to ISS a handful of times while we were in school, but like one ISS or two for me, one or
I
two
knew it wasn't my life. I didn't want nobody to tell me what to do. I
one
didn't
or
want to
two
be eating the peanut
ISS,
butter sandwiches.
and I'm allergic to peanuts.
I said I didn't want to be eating the peanut butter sandwiches.
I know, and I'm allergic to them. So like, then what I'm gonna eat? What else are y'all gonna give me? Just a jelly sandwich?
Right. I didn't want that life for myself. So I learned. The city taught me. Baby, no to ISS.
ISS works for the Gaston City administrators who might be listening, but also just you can move past, like, y'all are, we're human, we're teenagers, and you can move past these small things, because sometimes when it's happening it feels like it's like, oh, this is the worst thing that's happening in my life.
Yes.
But little did we know, keep living. It's gonna get harder. So I appreciate you sharing that. And so, if you could go back, would you change anything about your experience at Gaston City?
Definitely the negatives that I told you about. I wouldn't have acted so impulsively, but I actually would go back and I would try out for basketball. And I didn't start to come into myself, like, academically, I don't think there was much I would have changed except for like be more on top of my schoolwork, because I will tell you one class that I just flat blacked out in is AP. I don't even remember the name of it, but like politics or something like that.
Yes, we did government together with
Yes,
what's her name? She changed her name a few times while we were at Gaston City.
It was a story or something.
It was like Stone, maybe.
Stone.
I think it was Miss Stone when we had her. But she had toggled back and forth a few times with her name.
The only thing I remember about that course was that we went to like a mock trial or something. Was it in Jacksonville, or did we go to Jacksonville a couple of times?
I don't remember.
I feel like we drove somewhere.
I remember very specifically from that class, and I feel like this could be me thinking about a different class, but I want to say it happened there. But there was a situation that happened where she told us a story, or it happened with someone in class, that like someone didn't know that Alaska and Hawaii weren't attached to the contiguous U.S. And I think she went on like a a little rant about it, and she had showed us one of those big old maps that pull down from the whiteboard, and that has stuck. I don't know why, but that has stuck with me for life. I don't know what it is about that particular moment, but it gave me a perspective of like when you talk to, like me as an educator, when I talk to students, I assume that they know certain things. But then like if all you've ever seen is a flat map that has Hawaii and Alaska at the bottom, it is very possible that they might think it's just right there at the bottom of California. And so I don't know. I thought about that all the time when I'd be at work and I'd be working with like a student and they interpreted something super different than what I meant. And I'd just be like, how did you get this out of that? And then I always thought about her sharing that anecdote with us. And I was like, it's the Alaska, Hawaii thing happening with us right now. So yeah, I think with going back and changing things, or rather without going back and changing things, can you share a little bit about why you would do basketball?
Not that I was great or anything, but like just to give myself more options. There's more to life than band. And it might be some people who disagree with that, but and I think I actually did get out of band 12th grade year altogether, so I didn't do color guard or anything in senior year. But yeah, just to like have some different experiences, because it took like, it was not, the experience was nice while I had it, but I feel like I missed out on some creating some really great memories in high school, and those were great memories, but I could have had more memories with other people, because I already knew the band people. I was with them for, pretty much like if you went to middle school with me, I knew you, and then like incoming the other schools by 9th, 10th, and I had spent a lot of time with them, so like just being able to go and experience other things that were offered at Gaston City. So
right. If you could, well, actually, let's go ahead and tackle this question a little bit, because you talked a little bit about Shayna Wilson. I hope she doesn't mind me. I don't even think her last name is Wilson anymore. I think she's been married since then. But is there anyone else at Gaston City that you can think of who had a good impact on your life, and why?
Miss Funderburg. I remember like confiding something in her, and she was just like very nurturing in that moment. And it's always stayed with me. So
Right.
like if you have your go-to person who you feel like you can confide in, or you tell them something, or I think that's like, she was very like motherish at that moment, and I just felt like that was what I needed. So
right.
she was that person for me.
Is she still at Gaston City? I think she is.
I actually don't know. I'm not sure.
I hope she is. And if she's listening, I also want to co-sign what you said, because I had Miss Funderburg for, I think, freshman year. We all took a class with either her or Miss Worthy, and I had Miss Funderburg. And one thing about her, I love the way that she laughs. She has that like little giggle about her.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? She has that little giggle. And first of all, it just used to tickle me pink every time she laughed, because of the way she laughs. But I appreciated seeing her and Miss Worthy like interact as like adults.
Yes.
I don't know why. I think sometimes like as teenagers, we don't see our teachers as like people.
Right.
Like, how weird it is when you see your teacher outside of school and it's like,
you got on real clothes, like
yeah, you got on real clothes. That's not business casual. Like what is going on? Why aren't you wearing your khakis? Like it's just like really strange. And I think Miss Funderburg brought like a real, like, I don't know, she just brought like a real humanized level and style of like interacting that was like great. And a
Yeah.
few times she's gotten me together. Like, I was a hothead in high school, like through and through hothead. And I think she could just like sense it really quickly. Like when I'm just about to fly off on somebody that I probably didn't have any business doing. And so she would like come and she could take you from a 10 to a 2 real quick. And not the same way that my mom does. My mom does it by like, you need to get yourself together. And like, I think Miss Funderburg really did have that knack with students. And I hope, I need to check to see if she's still at Gaston City, but
Yes.
I agree. She was she was a really good role model for a lot of us in general. So that's great to hear.
Yes. We need that.
We do. Because all approaches, like everybody has like I think that's the thing that I'm aware of now is like not everybody has a teacher that they trust, like you know what I mean, like with that type
Right.
of they don't all have that type of relationship. Like hearing everybody talk about Mr. Blackwell is one, it always warms my heart, but I never saw Mr. Blackwell except the one time I got in enough trouble to get sent to the principal's office. So I was like mortified that we have had to talk to him so much because I'm like, he gonna remember this. And I remember the first time we had a meeting with him, I just went ahead and told him myself, I got in trouble one time. He was just like, I don't remember that. But I was like, I got in trouble this one time and I'm a different person now. But I really think Miss Funderburg and Mr. Blackwell are really good examples of like, you just don't know what type of impact you have on students, even the smallest of things.
Right. Absolutely.
And so I appreciate that she was nice to you and to me. So thank you, Miss Funderburg.
Yes. Shout out to you.
Shout out to Miss Funderburg. Okay, so if you could give your senior self one piece of advice, what would you say?
Apply yourself better. Like, do better, because once I got my college acceptance letter, I fell off the map. Like when I tell you, like my mama would be going like at me, like eating at me every day because you need to still be doing your work and da da da. Like I just didn't care. And she was like, they can rescind your acceptance. Like they don't have to allow you to enter their institution, and you're just out here just doing horrible. Like yeah, I'm pretty sure I made like a D that last
Same.
semester. I fell off the wagon, like, and just no longer, like, story nobody knows. Like, I'm pretty sure I only made a D because in AP classes they add those points to you.
They waited. Yes.
I'm pretty sure
Yes.
I made an F, but AP boosted me to a D. So
I feel like this has come up.
I fell off of the wagon.
Okay, I feel like this has come up, so now we got to talk about it because I want to touch the seniors with this one, like, not even just the seniors. I want to touch the juniors and the seniors because I had a very similar situation. Like, I was like performing. I was like, "Ooh, I'm in there!" Like, what's up? Senior year, I've never brought home grades like I brought home on my senior year. Yeah. And as someone who's worked in admissions I used to work with the University of Alabama. It is, in fact, true. They can and will rescind your admissions offers if you are playing games like this. Like you need your junior year grades to be eligible to apply, but they come back and reconfirm at the end of your senior year what your grades are. You still got to send them a final transcript. So in their mind, they're like, what happened? And I had a very similar situation. Like the day that we graduated, I was sweating bullets. Like, it was hot in Alabama, but I was sweating bullets because I didn't know how to tell my mom it is a very strong possibility that I did not pass pre-cal. And like, how did I even end up in this in this situation? It was wild. Okay. I remember standing in the line to get to the stage, and I looked at Stephen Brown because I had taken his final I had taken his final outside of class time for some reason. Like I was was off the wagon. Okay. Coach Corker was helping me after school too. Like I don't know what happened. I truly don't. Like I had gone all the way up to that point. I was like flying through these math classes, like I was just like, you couldn't keep me focused long enough. Like I was finishing my work so quickly, like it was great. But something about that last little stretch with Corker and then going to Mr. Brown, it was like, I went from 1 + 1 is 2 to 1 + 1 is potato. Like it just went out the window. I remember standing in that line getting ready to graduate and I was looking around people trying to get Mr. Brown's attention and I was like, did I pass? And he was like, I was like, we had a chance to talk before this. I got this gown on. Like, I don't want to be in summer school. Like, what's going to happen? And he was just like, and then I was like, whew, yes. Like, but yeah, I think something that I would say with like the senior year, I think it's the most challenging year of school, period. Like no matter what level you are, like I think I had a similar situation in undergrad too, where it was like you feel motivated because you gotta leave. Like it's like I gotta get out. My friends are leaving or whatever. But like senior year, or the year that you're in transition, it's so hard because you're dealing with so many other emotional things. And then of course, like whatever's happening in your life is going on. And I think that's the real test of like who you are, how disciplined you are.
Yes.
And just how you're gonna like make choices. And like to your point about Gaston City teaching you like there are consequences to my actions. Whew. Senior year, it was like I know it ain't the consequences of my actions. They're just like piling up. I was like, what is going on? But it was, I think I needed to have, I wouldn't trade it. I think I needed to have the type of year that I had. But it's also just a reminder that like not everybody has a glamorous senior year.
And listen, and just on a honest heart to heart, like when I left Gaston City, like I honestly didn't want to look back. Like I've always wanted to help people, but I honestly didn't want to look back because the day I walked across the stage was a negative experience. Mm-hmm. Like, because, like I've been in AP with you since entering Gaston City.
Right.
And I could not walk with my AP honors. Like I had to be like, I was listed as advanced because on the day of graduation, I was told that I did not meet the requirements to graduate on the AP track. So like I had a sour, just bitter taste of Gaston City was left in my mind from that experience. And my mom was upset. I remember like going back and speaking to Blackwell about it. And like listen, one thing you can learn about my mama is she has her facts together. Like she pulls out catalogs. She will pull out papers from the 8th grade entering it, like from when they made our schedules to enter high school from 8th grade, like she had it laid out. Like, she's the reason I graduated college. Like, cause she was making my schedule. I was going to my counselors and telling them, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And they were just like, okay. Right. So, like, in high school, like, that's how high school was. So, like, she laid it out. And, like, even he agreed. Like, Blackwell was like, yeah, like, you should have graduated on the AP track. So I mean, eventually we just like kind of just let it go, but like that was like a bitter taste, like bitter memory. But now like it's been a whole mindset change, like a whole shift, and it's just like I'm here.
Well, I am appalled for you because recall I just learned about this literally last year and I was upset about this for months because I
I
think
cried. I
when
cried on it.
it's important you worked hard for it. Also, there were so few of us on the track that like for me it was like I was supposed to get this diploma with CJ and Shanika, and so for me to find out that it was just me, I was
It was
like,
just,
wait a minute.
it's so funny because we were so close. CJ was literally like the first person who I ran into after she told me that I couldn't graduate on the AP track. Like he was the first face I saw. He was like, "What's like?" I remember him saying like, "What's wrong? Like what happened?" And I told him, he was like, "Man, that's messed up." Like, but I also look at their situation like I wish some things could change because I also didn't like the fact that like they were going to the college and taking classes and still only graduated on an advanced diploma. So like they were taking the classes that essentially we were prepping for.
Right.
And they didn't graduate on our diploma. So I don't know. My little spiel, we can edit this out if needed.
No, I think it's fair because like that's part of like what I don't want people to think, and this is I'll make an I statement. So this is the belief of Alethea, like as one of the people who came together to like create this organization and thinking that we could do a lot of good things and build a community with alumni, but also we could be resourceful to students. I don't want people to think that like every experience at Gaston City is a cookie cutter experience because we all are navigating challenges with what our experience looked like in different institutions, right? Like whether it be Gaston City or whatever our undergrad institution was or whatever, or so on and so forth. And I don't want people to think that like, particularly people meaning like students, that if their experience doesn't mirror someone else's, that it means that they had a terrible experience or whatnot. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just might mean that your experience was different, and your experience, even though your experience was different, and it impacted you in a different way than maybe someone like James. James has so much Titan pride, like it warms my heart. I didn't have that type of experience with Gaston City, but I still think I can be a change agent, and I still think I can be part of community with Gaston City, even though there's some like questionable.
But people need to see that though.
But people need to see that, and that's part of some things that we hope to like be able to work on and assist with whether it be formally or informally with the school, because experiences matter. And again, you never know what this experience is going to do or alter for somebody in the future. So I 110% agree. I'm glad you shared it. CJ, don't edit it out. But I think it's important for people to see that. And to your point, like with your mom. So again, Shanika's being humble about this because Shanika had a mom who was like on it. Shanika would come to school and tell me stuff. My mom was in fact not on it like that. My mom was like, "This is my youngest child. She got 6 kids, and I'm the youngest. And y'all know how the youngest child, just especially when you got that many, we can fall through the cracks. So when Shanika's mom was on her, she was on me by proxy because Shanika would surely come into class sometimes and be like, you didn't sign up to take your ACTs. Me, we supposed to be doing that right now." And they were like, "Yeah, okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna go register for my ACTs then. Like, I guess, yeah." So her keeping you on point kept me on point because you shared what you knew. So I appreciate that. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yes.
You talked a little bit about like your transition a little bit, and about some experiences that you've had. So if someone who knew you well from high school were to describe you in 3 words, what would they be? And then how accurate would those words be for you today?
Okay, so in high school they described me, and then are they accurate now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like being that I've heard these, smart, um, ambitious, and maybe quiet. I'll give
Oh
myself
my
quiet.
gosh. I was thinking every single thing that you just said. And I was about to say, they might say that you're quiet, but like if they knew you, then they know you were in fact not that quiet. Like you have a quiet demeanor, you have a peaceful demeanor, but when you got something to say, you got something to say. So
I am very observant. And that's where that quietness comes in.
yes,
So,
yes,
and as far as speaking, I mean, do those describe me today? I do not feel like I live up to my fullest potential as far as being ambitious. I
mm-hmm.
think I would say I'm ambitious. I just don't think I like do enough.
Okay.
I kind of limit myself. But I mean, we kind of went into the quiet one, like quiet demeanor. So that could still stand. And I find myself smart. So, I
Okay.
mean, but ambitious is one, like, I am challenging myself with that one and working to be, well, I guess to fulfill that. I don't know. I don't know if I have like some imaginary measurement tool that I'm putting myself up against. I don't know. I just
Right.
don't feel like I'm there. Like, when I look
Right.
at myself, like, am I doing all that I can? And when I look and answer that question, the answer will be no. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So maybe 2 out of 3 of those.
I think it's good, important that you said that too. Like, I remember seeing, I don't know if it was like, what's his name? Apple CEO. Was it Tim Cook? Maybe. I think it was like a quote from Tim Cook or something that I used to
Yeah.
hang at my office when I worked in publishing, and it was like, hold yourself to a different standard than everybody else. Like what everybody else's standard is, that's cool, but like you got to be accountable to you at the end of the day. And so I
Yes.
think that is something that like I've struggled with as I've gotten older, just because coming from like being on AP track and going straight to college and all this, and look at me now in cold Indiana where it literally just snowed yesterday. I
Working
think
on your doctorate, though.
working on my doctorate, it's one of those things where it's like, when do I get off the hamster wheel? And I want to say, like, when I was in high school, like what you just described was going on in the back of my mind. I think that contributed to me acting out a little bit in my senior year. It was like, I don't know what to do with all these things I'm feeling about what I'm doing in the future
Right.
and having my mind made up. So now I gotta just skip class. Like, I don't even want to go. I don't want to think about it. So I think
Right.
if we have any current students in Gadsden City listening to this, keep the faith.
Yeah.
We will never know. Like, we will never know what the end goal is until we know. That's what I think. Like, I think you'll know when you know, but I don't think it's something that you can, like, especially not at 17 and 18, say, I want to
Right.
do this, this, and this, because again, keep living. It'll show you better than I can tell you. But like, yeah, I think, especially with that ambition one, I agree wholeheartedly with all of your adjectives. Coming as someone who knew you well from high school.
Yes.
So yeah. So we've had a good catch up about all things like past Gaston City. So I want to get some time to like talk to you about like where you are now and what you do. So tell us a little bit more about what you do and how you chose that career.
I am currently a speech language pathologist, and it was not my initial choice. 10th grade year of high school, I decided that I wanted to be an engineer. So by the time 12th grade year came around, that's what I applied to the University of Alabama to do, was to go into engineering. So I did a year as a double E major, and it kicked my butt in my GPA. And I came into the field of speech language pathology because it was something my mom had mentioned before I even like set foot on campus. And I'm like, don't nobody want to do that. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, girl, what? And then like by the time my GPA had taken its hit, I was like, what was that? What was that you had said? What was the name of that program? So anyway, I
Right.
ended up exploring it and speaking with an advisor and switching my major into the field. And I mean, I started classes like that sophomore year of college, and I fell in love. Um, I just feel like things happen the way that they happen, to get me to this point. But so I'm now a speech language pathologist, and I've been very fortunate to work in multiple settings. Like I've been able to experience so much work with well, not necessarily babies, but like maybe around 18 months or so. So I worked with them on and then on up into the lifespan. So around, I think I might have had a patient who was like 100. So pretty much my field works from birth to 99 or 100 in that case. And I've worked in schools, I've worked in medical healthcare settings, and right now I work in a private practice setting, but I still am tied to the medical setting because I don't want to give up that experience. And I've tried the travel therapy thing out a little bit. So, yeah, it's
That sounds
nice. I
really
love it.
cool. That sounds good. I love that you have that perspective about like you needed whatever happened needed to happen to get you where you are. Because when I worked in at UA, I think sometimes I would get like so many students who felt like failures or be themselves really bad from changing their major. And I changed my major once. It wasn't a big jump, but I changed my major and I think something that I wish we would have been taught before. I don't know if it's really taught, something that you can teach, all things considered, but like being flexible and being willing to pivot or knowing when to pivot. Because I used to always say like, oh, everybody's a biology pre-med major until they aren't. Like, we can't all be biology pre-med, and that is okay. Like, it is
That is
just
perfectly
fine.
fine.
And we can't all be engineers either. Like, we might all want to, but it ain't for the faint. Like you just
It's not.
you have to find what speaks to you, what makes sense to you. And I think sometimes we focus on how we got there and the negatives of how we got there, but it's a good outcome. Like, you get to do what you like to do and have these different experiences. So
Absolutely.
that is
And I just don't
great.
feel like my mindset at the time was ready to take that on. And that's one of the things that I've had to realize as I've gotten older. I didn't have the same mindset that I have now. Like, if me now was going through college, I probably would be an engineer.
Right.
But at the time, like, I told myself that that's something that I wanted to do, but like where my mind was, that was not something that I was prepared to do. And
Right.
so I very much feel like I am where I need to be. So like I may have wanted to be an engineer, but where were you needed? And I feel like I'm needed where I am, and I enjoy it. So the mindset, like the perspective, all of that, like that all plays. We want to do things, but like, is that where we're needed?
Right.
How much difference can I make doing this? Or so it's just one of those things that I've had to learn through life.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because our next question is just tell us about a moment that either transformed your thinking or your life trajectory, or if you've had a moment or event that's had a major impact on your life?
I would say like taking that, like me having to change my major, and then even like going into grad school, my thinking has had to change, and I have had to be patient because on my first attempt to try to go to grad school, like I was not accepted. And so I remember, like, like, because you got your degree, like I have my degree, and then it's like I knew, like, coming into this major, like the very first day of class, like they're like, look at your neighbors, look to your right, look to your left. Only one of you is going to grad school, but it like really doesn't hit you then. So
Right.
like senior year is coming, and now we're scrambling, taking the GRE, trying to make sure that we're prepared. And remember, I took a hit freshman year from that, from
Right.
being an engineer major, so my GPA was not. I didn't have a 4.0 like some of the people in my class. Like they were like having 3.8s and 3.9s, and little old me is sitting there like, we won't discuss it. But I do feel like some things had to like transpire. But so I had to like learn patience. I've had to learn to, accept some things that I can't change, and to do the very best at what is within my power and my ability to be able to do. So like I told you, like I didn't get accepted. Like even though I'd gone and met with like one of the program directors, had a long talk with her, and like I just didn't get, and I just remember feeling defeated. And then
Right.
like 2 days later, I had to snap out of it, and I'm like, no, you know what? Let me call my undergraduate advisor, who was also one of the professors in our field, and tell him like, look, I'm coming back for a semester. Do you have any research that I can do with you? And like he was like, he jumped on that opportunity, and he helped me with a lot of things. He wrote my letter of recommendation, and then like the very next semester, so I was only out a semester because I was accepted for a spring semester into Alabama A&M. But yeah, like taking all of that, like I had to learn patience, and like, yeah, reality just really set in. Like, what am I going to do with my life? Because I mean, I could work with the bachelor's degree, but it would have only
Right.
been as an assistant. And yeah, this lifestyle that I want, I need to be able to afford certain things. I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, so what can I do to like boost myself? So like, I didn't just sit back and then take pity on myself. Like, I cried for a day or two, and then like I had to snap
You got
out
to
of
move
it. So
on.
like,
Yeah.
it's been a journey, and I made it. And I came, I saw, and I conquered. So
That's it. That's it. Yes. That is great. Yes. Also, I know how like difficult, like the first time I had ever been like rejected from a program, I was like the nerve. I've never been rejected for anything in my life. Like, like
I
what are
think coming from high
you?
school, those lessons that you learn, like,
Yes.
hey, nothing is handed to you. You out here competing with everybody who, like,
Yes.
you with some people who smarter than you, like, or like,
Right.
and then I'll just you realize like it's reality. Like you're out here with big dogs now, like. Oh,
Yes. Yes. I will say one thing that my mom used to always say to me, because like I used to like pick on my siblings because I was smarter than them sometimes, and like report card day was my day. Okay, I'm hopping off the bus with mine in my hand. I don't care what type of grade y'all bring it home. I'm going to show my mom I'm a star. But my mom used to always tell me when I would do that, like, if you're the smartest person in this room, you need to go to a new room. And so, honey, I used to be like, girl, hush. But when I got older and I got to Auburn, and I was like seeing what she meant by that, like, it's easy to feel like you are a shark when you're in a pool full of guppies. But then when you move to a bigger pool, it is a whole other type of game, right? Like, it's just wild. And I think that that transition, that moment that it clicks for you, that I might have been a shark when I was at Gaston City, but I might be a guppy right now. It is humbling. It is
Very
very much
extremely.
humbling. It'll show you who you are, like what type of stuff you're made of. And I think I like that you took the initiative to say, okay, well, my grades are what they are, but what else can I do? Because sometimes I have to stress that to my students, like grades are important, but grades are not the only thing that's going
Exactly.
into your decision, and like
Mhm.
so many other things can hold weight. And I just think sometimes we neglect those things for a numerical score. And so like
That
your
I learned.
your trajectory very much illustrates that.
Absolutely. And I know you can't look at your letters of recommendation, or you're not supposed to be able to see them, but I was able to peek after all was said and done, like once I was in the program. I don't know if I was supposed to have access to them, but somehow somebody handed me my folder and I was nosy. And make sure you have some nice relationships with your professors or whoever, because they spoke highly of me. And like I remember like going through high school, like even being able to peek at some of those letters of recommendation, like going into college, like those hold weight. Like
Right.
those hold weight. So
Right.
luckily, even though like all experiences were not positive, there were those that when they were, and like my relationships with the people who wrote those letters were extremely positive. So yeah, like you said, like every decision that is made isn't like a numerical, like it's who you are, your character. So
Right. Right. Amen to that. So, what have you learned about yourself since you left Gaston City? We've touched on this a little bit, but um, what else have you learned about yourself since you left Gaston City?
to kind of step out of my shell a little bit, because I've always been kind of reserved. I mean, we kind of touched on it, like my quiet demeanor, um, and I've learned to like step out of that. Because I've always like, if you know me, you know like the friends that I've had, like I've always had like a larger group of friends. So like I never really had to make friends because they've always been there. Like they're still there. They're
Right.
still my friends. So like stepping out and like actually making friends, or like networking post high school, like those are things that like I don't really know how to do those. Like those are things that
Yeah.
I've learned post high school, and I'm learning about myself. Like you think that they're natural, and they're just like, for some people they are, but for me it's not.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm just in this. I'm in this find myself mode,
Right.
because I look out and I see so many people doing like all these great things, and then it's like it's times I look at myself like I'm just here, like, but
Right.
what am I doing? Like, what impact am I really making to those around me? So like these are things that I am figuring out. So I mean, I guess we might have to do another Titan talk one day, but like when I find out, I will let you guys know. But I'm navigating this path right now on my own, like because things that I thought I liked, I don't like, like I'm just, I don't know.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's like society telling me like I feel like I should be here, but I'm like here. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I am figuring this out myself. Like I will honestly tell you,
Right.
like I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and I would challenge you on that. Like sometimes when I feel like I'm just here, something someone told me when I say that often, they'll be like, "How are you?" And I'm like, "I'm here. I'm just here. I don't have anything else." But they were like, I think a better way to look at it is you're just getting started.
Okay.
Like that's it. I'm just getting started. Like we haven't peaked yet. And so we have a long way to go. And I think that ambiguity and what you're describing, like I think if we pay attention, we probably have been feeling like that since high school. Like especially when you when you're like high performing or high ability, people like your senior year, oh, where are you going to school? Me, I haven't even applied yet. Like I wasn't trying to think about that. I'm trying to decide what I'm gonna wear to school tomorrow. Like that's what I'm thinking about. Like, and so I definitely get that evolution, 110. Like it, what I want to make sure, and I wish that like was normalized for us when we were younger was like, this is normal.
Yes.
To have that type of ambiguity and not know what's going on with you and not know where you're going and like but I don't know, it felt like at every single mile marker it always feels like it feels like something or someone external to us is telling us it should be definitive for us by now, or like our love of 30 by 30, or what have you done before
Yes.
30? I don't.
Like, yes, I think that's it. Like, oh my goodness, we got people out here, like doctors and everything, and it's like I'm still like, I don't know, like, and I think that's because in these latter years, like some of the people who I have chosen to associate myself with, like I look at them like they're up here, so
Right.
I feel like and it might not even be society. Like I might be pushing myself up there. Like
Right.
I'm just no longer fulfilled at the level that I'm on right now. Like uh, it could be me. Like I just don't.
Right.
I don't know.
But we're gonna see, and we're gonna circle back and do another Titan talk to see what ended up happening. So
Yes.
this is
Yes.
our marker for 5 years from now. We're gonna circle
Yes.
back. We're gonna bend the block on this topic. Um, but this is actually a good segue into just some kind of thinking about like where do you see yourself in 10 years?
In 10 years, I see myself hopefully married with some kids. But I also see myself in an administrative position, like no longer doing the field work, and I still would always like to be involved in that because I don't ever want to forget where I came from. But I
Right.
would like to transition to an administrative role because let's be honest, like there are some cracks and holes in some systems that need change. And so
Right.
I want to do that. I want to help facilitate and be the change and bring awareness to certain issues. So hopefully I can make it to that point in life and step out of my shell and do some networking and get myself to that level.
Right. Yes. Well, we surely hope. Again, this is a Shanika Thomas Stan account. So, I'm going to be watching and it's going to happen for you. So, you're aware of this because, of course, again, you're on the team, but our association slogan has been from one home to another. And we hope that this slogan will encourage Titans to give back to their community. What does that look like for you?
To give back to our community is develop and implement programs starting early on, be it elementary, middle, high school, to let our community know. I can't even talk. Our community know that like they do have resources, they do have support there. Because everybody didn't come from a perfect home. And so they need to be able to look out to their community, and it's unity, like, and know that there are people there who support you and will help you
Right.
get to that next level. And so to me, that's what it looks like unity coming
Oh,
together,
yeah.
being resources and support for the up and coming classes. So
Oh, look at that. My heart. My heart. Okay. So, speaking of the up and coming classes, this would actually be our last question. What piece of advice would you give to a new Gaston City graduate?
kind of what we've talked about, like be flexible. Don't be afraid of failure. Like, step out, take the risk, because we can't expect um, always great results without taking risk. And that's something I'm telling y'all that, but I'm telling myself that too, like, because I am risk averse. So just telling them, like, don't be afraid to take that leap. And also, don't be afraid of failure. Um, so go you and be proud.
Yes, I think that's excellent advice. And thank you so much for your time today, Shanika. We really appreciate it. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Again, our Titan Talks interview series is just to connect the community with former Titans. Sharing knowledge and resources and inspiring, again, our alumni to give of their time, talent, and treasure from one home to another. If you have a minute, please take a second to reach out to us, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram. Our Instagram handle is GCHS Alumni Association. As is our Facebook handle. So you can find us on those avenues. And then, of course, if you want to support us, please take a minute to donate to one of our Gaston City High School alumni emerging leader scholarships. They're currently endowed at the University of Alabama and Auburn University. And yeah, we will see you guys on the next episode of Titan Talks. Thank you so much, Shanika.
You're welcome.